Hi guys, I'm talking about my Dialed Arxos or Arxos site today. Bit of a review, but also more of just an overview, given that I've only owned the site for about a month and I have limited experience with other sites, so I can't really comment on whether this is the best or the worst because I don't have enough experience with other sites. Having said that, I can certainly talk about how effective I have found it the last few weeks I've been shooting it, and maybe make some comments about things I like and things I'd potentially change. Right off the bat, I think it's a nice site to look at in terms of the aesthetics. It suits, well, at least my bow nicely. I think it looks pretty schmick. I love the design of this being on a slope. I think it looks cool, but it's also obviously got some functionality in terms of maybe improving some consistency with longer distance shooting. The wheel feels great in the adjustment, and there's obviously a hell of a lot of adjustment there. If I went all the way down, I'd hit my veins, obviously, which is why some of the extra pins in here are useful. But I did see on Chris B's review or overview of this site that he mentioned there was just a little bit of slack in the wheel there, and I have found the same, but I've been shooting this out to 86 meters, and I can't say that anywhere between point blank and that distance I've noticed an issue with consistency with a bit of that play. Maybe it's just because I always bottom it out within that play, I don't know. So far it seems really durable, although I've only taken the bush a handful of times. It seems that it's the adjustments are nice and positive feeling, but it's copped plenty of knocks so far, and I haven't had to adjust any of the windage or anything like that as a result of those knocks. I bought this off a friend of mine with two mags, one of them, this one with the 3 dots on the post, and the other one with just the double, the one at the top and the one at the very bottom. So I really like having 3 references within here because it helps me get out a little bit further without having to wind the scope down so far, but I wouldn't say these pin gaps are useful for the kind of hunting that I do. So they're more of just a novelty or something I can use when I'm practicing, because there wouldn't be many situations where I would want to reference the different pins without moving my sight. Just for people's interest, I'm shooting a 490 grain arrow at 275 feet per second, and with the sight bottomed out, the top pin is at 20 meters, the middle pin is about 35 meters, and the bottom one is at 48 meters. So walking around ABA style shooting like this, I could practice quite a lot with my pin gaps and not have to move this sight, but when I'm out hunting, having pins between 20 and 35 would probably be useful, which I suppose is something they may be working on, given there are some extra little pins here that I could use as a reference on my sight wheel when I've been sighting it in. Obviously you're going to have to excuse my ghetto sight tape here guys, but in any case, I'm just giving you a bit of a look about the way this thing works. I've just put a blank sight tape on here and have handwritten marks on there when I've been winding the scope or winding the sight, just for the sake of sighting it in easily the first time around. I know I could look at some sight tapes and whatever, but because I haven't necessarily completely decided on my arrow recipe or the way my setup is, because I'm still kind of new to the compound game, I'm just happy to have a handwritten one here. But you can undo this with an Allen key just here and take this entire white piece off and put a different one on. So if you want lighter arrows for a target setup and heavy arrows for a hunting setup, you can just switch this out, and besides maybe changing a little bit of left and right here, you won't have to adjust anything else. That's pretty cool in my mind. You can also see these metal pins just here. You can adjust where they go as well, so I've got them so they correspond with the references inside the scope here. So obviously the top pin is where this line is here as it's bottomed out, and the first pin here is the middle one inside the housing, and this one is the bottom one. And like I mentioned before, I believe they have plans to maybe release a 5-pin sight in the future, which is why these ones here may end up coming into play. And I would be super keen if they were to do that, because then I'd potentially be able to have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 meters all marked out without having to move the scope or move the sight, and only move it up and down for some of those really long range practice shots. But most of my hunting is inside about 35 meters anyway, so I tend to just wind this sight down to have it be on about that 27 meter mark, and just use it as a single pin, and I'm pretty flat out to about 32 meters, which is fine for hunting pigs and the things around here that I do. My last sight did not have a bubble on it, so it's nice to have a bubble to reference, and I can't comment that it's better up the top as opposed to the bottom because I haven't got that experience. But I will say that it seems very easy to reference the sight bubble when it is up the top. I haven't found that to be an issue at all, and it's also nice to be able to, I guess, diagnose left and right misses down to when I haven't paid proper attention to my bubble. It's a bit difficult for me to comment on the price or the value of this sight because I bought it used off a friend of mine, so I haven't had to pay the exorbitant brand new price. But to me, the value is down to the individual. Obviously there are many other sights on the market that don't cost as much as this, but I think some of the features of this about potentially switching out the mags, and certainly switching out the wheels that have your sight markings on there, so you can very easily have the one sight on the bow but have two different arrow setups without having to readjust everything. That is pretty cool. I do like the idea of supporting a smaller company who are trying to be innovative in the industry and maybe do some things a little bit differently, but yeah, there's no getting around it, guys. It is a pretty expensive sight, and if I had to buy the thing brand new, I'm not sure that I would be excited to do so. But now that I have got it on the bow and I've got a bit of experience with it, I do like it. I certainly don't have any plans to switch it out for anything else in the future at all. What I might do is do a follow-up video in several months' time when I've got a lot more animals on the ground with the bow and maybe shot a few competitions, just so I've got a bit more string time behind the sight. I can't see my opinion on a great deal changing, to be honest, but it might be nice to include a bunch of other hunting footage or a bit more range footage in this video for anybody who feels like watching it just because they want to be entertained. Just going to make some shots at about 35 meters on this fox target here before I lose the light, for no other reason than to just show that I'm capable of shooting a half decent group, so my opinion is not entirely worthless. Might just shoot this other cat here at 20 meters just for a bit of fun. Sight is bottomed out. Well, I've got one arrow left. This could be ugly, but I'm just going to send it at 48 meters, which is at furthest target, which you might be able to see. We'll have a look, guys. I know 20 metres is nothing to get super excited over, but not too bad. 2 at 35 metres, decent enough shooting. And the last one here at 48 metres. Reasonably happy with that. Thanks for watching, guys, and for anybody out there who's interested in this site, because there's obviously a bit of hype around it, I hope you found it useful or interesting. And yeah, I'll see you on some of my other videos.